All right, good morning, everybody. Monday, and you made it to another week. And there she is in all her glory, the marvelous, magnificent Tumi Morake. How you doing?
Hello. I'm good. How you, Gareth?
Oh, it's so nice to see you. This is my December
Ah,
present.
are you gifting yourself any? Am I the gift? OMG.
You're my December present. This is how I know that this month is going to be off to a good start.
Should have put myself in a bowl. Uh,
Oh well, no, I see like a purple string of lights behind you there. That's festive enough. So, so how are you? I mean, I haven't spoken to you for a little while. We haven't had you on the show for a little bit. Things good?
yeah. Things are great. I am tired, but things are fantastic. Like,
Mm,
we're saying goodbye to 2022. I feel like this year flew by. I feel like the year's going, can I leave before I make too much of a mess? You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like, when your
right.
predecessors have been a mess and you're like, I don't want to stay long enough to do what those guys did. So I love the 2022. It's like, I want an honorable bow out?
I also think that this year is just like we're still not back to normal, right? Because
Right.
I feel like a lot of people are still stuck in this like haze. It's almost as if they're just coming around now. And I had a very, very cool weekend in Cape Town. A friend of mine had this big party on Saturday and invited people. One of his friends even came from Germany for this
Sure.
thing. And yeah, it was really nice to spend, time around people who, I mean, you can see people have worked hard this year, and it's been harder than ever to get 1 rand out of people.
Yeah, it
You know
has.
about this. So you have to put in the hours, you have to slog. But man, when you get to December, it's worth it, hey? Mm,
Friend, friend. I must say the people I feel for are the people in insurance, man. Because I've been going like, so insurance did the honest thing, which is what they're supposed to do, right? Which is pay out. And now they're we're struggling to get back up. I'm like, oh, so your business model was actually dependent on us not claiming. You know what I mean?
yo,
Like, it's been interesting, but I've been like, you
I don't.
guys, yeah,
Did
you
you
can
just
be.
hold on?
Hmm?
You can't be sorry for the insurance companies.
I'm not saying I feel sorry for them. I'm saying I
Oh,
find it funny
oh,
that
okay,
they're hardest hit for doing what their business is. It's like you did what your business is supposed to do. That's supposed to be good for you. Instead, you're going,
right.
hey, it's rough. Eh? We actually paid
Yeah,
out.
and you can tell it's rough too because you're getting more of those calls than ever. Hi, good morning. I'm calling you from whatever it is, insurance company. Do you have a moment for me? And I'm like, no.
Like, do you need insurance? No, I'm fine. My whole family is covered. Does your daughter have dolls? Do they need insurance? Like, no, they're fine.
Oh no, but it
Wait,
this. Mm,
no, I was gonna say, speaking of insurance, I don't know. This is an old story, but I am curious if you ever heard about it.
mm.
Around insurance, the lady in Missouri who got $5.2 million. She won $5.2 million for contracting HPV in a car. So she sued like she went to car insurance and she was like, I mean, this is injury and it's accidental damage to my person because now I have
Ooh.
HPV, which I contracted in your car. And then the insurance company was like, you're crazy. Then she took them to court. And then court was
Uh-huh.
like, no, she is not. She is making perfect sense. Give her 5.2 million for past and future injuries, for past and future health, and
Oh,
mental damages. You don't understand.
hang on a second. She got HPV from the
For
car.
yeah, she hanky pankied in the car with this guy, ne? So yeah, they steamed up the car, and then now I'm like, if I was the car, I'd be so bad because I'd be like, what does this have to do with me? What? How is this my fault? But yeah, five
I
point two
was
million dollars, bruh.
I was talking to some friends yesterday, and they do weddings. So they've got this wedding venue, and they do these weddings. And this one girl, and I think her boyfriend, they walk into the office the day after the wedding, and like she's got like crusty blood and like teeth missing and shit, and the boyfriend is like, we slipped and fell on your unsafe paving stones outside your house, and I have to now. You're gonna have to pay us like a lot of money." So the guy goes, "Just hold on 1 second," because they'd been warned about these people, right? So they go, "All right, would you just come and have a look in the office here?" Guy's like, "No, no, I don't want to see any. You're gonna have to sort this out now." They're like, "No, no, no. Just come and sit down, please. Can we give you coffee?" "No, I don't want coffee. What is it you want me to see?" So they play him a little highlights reel of his girlfriend at the wedding the day before. She arrives and she starts hitting the gin and tonics, but like by by the time the reception starts serving the food, she's already on like 18 gin and tonics, right? And she's been having shots with all her besties at the bar, and she's like a proper mess. But this is before the wedding's even over, and they're
Oh,
like, "So tell us again how this is our fault." And he's like,
wow.
okay. I wonder how much of that insurance fraud stuff happens in this country, because I'm sure there's a lot of it. Where people are like, "No, these people broke in." Like Oscar
Yeah.
Pistorius, the guy with the ladder, and he's the one who actually shot Reva. Remember that bullshit story? Like, I wonder how
The guy with
I
the
wonder
ladder.
how many people will try just to get a replacement TV or something, and they'll make up some story.
But South Africa were on point, eh? Insurance
Hmm?
doesn't play. Insurance doesn't play. We're on point. Our people, like, we can't find, listen, if you kill somebody, you can get away with it. But try and trick insurance. My friend,
No, you're right.
never. You will sooner get away with murder than get away with trying to report insurance in this country. These guys don't play. It's like, even when you have a car accident, the first thing they check is what time was the accident. That determines how much they're
You're
gonna
right.
look into your claim or not. You know what I mean? Like, they don't play here. Even with cell phones,
Mm-mm.
like South Africa. No, me, I respect Safa.
You know, in these estates, everybody lives in these either complexes, gated communities, estates, whatever it
Yeah,
is. And
yeah.
the thing that's been happening is like you'll get one batch of like really terrible people who pull into an estate, and their whole thing is they're going to rent a house there so they can steal. So they'll come in and they'll
Oh,
set it up to look like, or they'll run I've heard stories about some of these really, really smart estates where there's one of the houses and there's prostitutes in the house. I promise
they
you, I'm not
must
making
be.
this up.
But are these
And
prostitutes who are just cohabiting, or is this like prostitutes
uh,
working
that
like? Wow.
no, it's like a brothel inside the estate. So I've heard this. This was just what 3 months ago from a friend of mine. I've never heard of this estate before, and I'm not going to mention it just in case it's like true, and then I'm pulled into some case or God knows what. But apparently, this
Yeah.
one dude was running not a massive operation, but he had like 3 girls working there, and most of the business was coming from inside the estate.
That's
Because when you
genius.
it's actually so clever. And then there's another dude who was apparently like robbing all the other houses in the estate. And they eventually found him on cameras and whatever. So you get away with it again. Like the insurance are going to find you, not the police. And this guy was like, pretending to rent this house because his parents were overseas or whatever. As this young kid, like 25 or whatever, and meanwhile, this was his operation. He was like running as he would see people leaving the estate,
Mm.
then he'd go to their house and go and see what he could steal there. So a lot
That
of this
is,
stuff, it's clever, right? But I mean, it just shows you how crooked and how crazy and how like inventive and ingenious some people are. Because let's give credit where it's due. I've never thought of that.
but also they invest in their theft. Because, we've just always thought someone comes empty handed and fills up. But this guy's like, no, I'm going to put down a deposit towards this robbery. Like, I make a return on this investment. I
That's
like it.
unbelievable. And
Ah,
I mean, if it wasn't for the insurance, we'd probably never find out, right?
right? I think this is the problem with us in South Africa. Too many of us can afford insurance. So we're starting to normalize crime. We're now starting to normalize crime. We're just measuring the degree of the crime and then going, but at least no, insurance has got it. You know what I
Mm,
mean? And I don't
yeah.
know. I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing, but I feel like we started to. accommodate crime in our lives. I guess we don't have a choice. So
Yeah.
it's tricky. It's tricky. It's like, so are we gonna be more motivated to solve it if we find a way around it? I don't know. I don't know.
Well, a lot of people up early this morning to join us. Here's Pablo Majosi, who says good morning. Viasan saying good morning, everybody. Francis saying good morning. So Dumi was telling me about this this video that's been doing the rounds of some like woman. They call her a Karen in the article, which I saw
Yeah.
just a second ago. And apparently, this woman is like having a proper strop about like this bunch of guys having a braai or something in Cape Town.
Huge.
So I'm going to play this for you quickly. It's only a minute long, and then we'll explain what happened if you're not watching, if you're listening to the podcast, and then you get some idea of what's going on here, and we can, because we've got to talk about this. There's crazy shit going down.
I
right?
don't
Look at
care.
this.
Go to fucking McDonald's. I have been up at 3 in the morning. We have been putting out. Right, we all were. What is that? We were here again putting out the violence. I am sorry. What is that? What is that?
You don't storm up here and
No, excuse me. I've been up at 3, sir. I am your
I
witness.
know
No
you, we
limit.
met.
Right.
I've got it under control.
I
Go.
don't care. This stuff, win this win. Are you guys nuts?
No, we're not. We're 5
Well,
on the standby ready.
I don't care. That's an insult. We were up at 3
This is
in the
private
morning.
property as
I
well.
don't care.
You've got no right to
I
be
will
on
be
here.
happy. Well, you can come over and put the fire out at my house.
No problem.
Because we were right up there at 3 in the morning when
I
your
was also
planes
here.
went over in
I
there.
was also
We
here.
were all here. But you've got to
Okay.
be nuts.
You can, thank you. You
All
can
right.
leave now.
I will
Leave.
call the police.
Fine, no problem.
Should have been called yesterday. No, that's ridiculous, people. Get real. Welcome to the neighborhood.
In landscape, but it was in portrait. Anyway, this woman seems to be like on a mission to explain how she was up at 3 in the morning. Turns out all these people were doing is on their own private property, on their own, at their own house. They were having a braai.
But she says their flames were entering her yard. But here's what I don't understand. You drove to these people. You drove to these neighbors of yours. How were you getting to the flames? Wait, how big was these people's bride? Also, were they like doing a world record breaking bride? Because if you drove to them and you're telling me you drove at 3 to switch off their bride fire because they're gonna, hey, Karen, no.
Do you
But
know?
also,
There's some people, but like, listen to how angry she was. Now, she didn't explain until right like 40 seconds in that it was because she was worried about the fire. But like, all she's telling you is like, I was up at 3 in the morning.
right.
You know, people live in their own worlds, and they think everybody else just must understand what's going on in their heads. This is
Also,
this is insane. Does this woman know how long? First of all, how long has she been in South Africa that she doesn't know what a braai is? And second of all, like you say, how big must this fire have been, or how much craziness is going on in her head that she thinks that this thing was a threat to her?
she left her house for her and she says her husband to go and put
Mm.
out the flames.
Mm.
I'm like, maybe she's also she could be from California. Isn't it where the crazy fires happen? Where like a fire starts and it's just angry.
Mm.
It feels like the wrath of somebody's ancestors. So maybe that's, I don't know, but she is touched. My favorite is go to McDonald's, friend. And also, I love that freaking dude. Like, shame, sorry to name you, but I have to give you a name. But I love
Yeah.
him. He's got that calmness that I love. You know that thing, like
Ma'am,
this.
this is
For me, I
private
feel like,
property. Please, ma'am, this is private property.
yeah, he's like, you know, and I must say, I've always enjoyed that about Afrikaans culture. Like the dudes when they're dealing with the women, in my experience, anyway, I've always found that there's a reverence and a respect for women. If there's a oma, there's an auntie, and if you're a lady, you don't get the aggression they will give a dude. Like I think if she had been a dude, it could have ended a little bit differently. Like you
Oh
know,
yeah.
started with a bit of a my friend and then turned. But because it's a lady, they're going, you know, there's not very much we can do with you, and you are also not making sense right now. Just walk away, man. Rather walk away.
But isn't it also true that the whole the way people interact now has become completely different thanks to the phone, because you
Yeah.
know someone is recording something. So every time you're going to
Yeah.
have an altercation with anyone, and I don't think she realized that the woman who was screaming at these people, because someone was recording it, and I can guarantee you anytime anything crazy starts happening, you just see people, they reach for their phones. They're like,
Right.
they start watching
Right.
like this and recording. Now,
Right.
I wonder how in like 100 to 200 years time, when this has become the way that people, if the actual human behavior will get better or worse because of the phones. Because these days people are capturing everything, right? So I would be a lot more nervous to lose my shit than I would have when there weren't camera phones around. And luckily,
Yeah.
to me, you and I grew up at a time when like there weren't people filming everything all the time. So
Yeah.
there used to be this show called America's Funniest Home Videos. Do you remember
I
watching
remember
that?
that with Bob Saget. Yeah.
Yeah, and they these were the rare occasions where people would like capture their kids falling and like whatever it was, and it was like funny and sweet, and occasionally
And it
there'd be
took
a fight
effort.
of of someone getting drunk and doing something stupid. But
Yeah.
these days, like America's Funniest Home Videos is every single day on TikTok, right? So it's no longer a thing which is rare. And if you want to see people embarrassing themselves, you could just go on social media now. But there's a lot less, I feel, of that stuff because people know someone somewhere is recording this.
I disagree. I think people have desensitized a little bit from the fact.
Mm, looks like Dumi's just had a power failure there as well. Load shedding. Let me just see. Leigh-Ann is going to join us too, but she's also in load shedding at the moment. So it seems like I'm the only house in South Africa that's got a little bit of power right now. I'm going to let Tumi out and bring her back in just now. Mapelo says, I love it when she says, get real. People say funny things when they cross hair. It's so funny. Her throat must hurt after that tirade. And Billy says quite rightly as well, everyone is a videographer these days. Well, that's also true. It was always Russians getting drunk and falling or fighting. Yeah, but Russians are still always falling and fighting and getting drunk. I mean, have you seen what those people drink? They make their own stuff in the back garden, right? They like bury a thing with, I don't know, old bits of like horse hoof and lizards and God knows what, and they let it ferment there in the garden for a long time, and they make a vodka of their own, put potatoes and shit in there as well. But Russians still are the most dangerous people when they're drunk because they drink dangerous stuff. It's like gasoline. There's no, yo, was that
Oh,
load
they start
shedding
the
that
war.
started happening?
That was. Can you see now? I'm in like romantic light with like one bright
I
one.
like this. It looks even better somehow.
Ja, maar die generator was een beetje starig. Yeah. I just thought it like goes out and comes back, and I'm in first world mind.
Sorry, so you were busy saying to me, no, it's not true. You think there's more of that shit going on, not less.
Yes, it's like when you watch a Big Brother and stuff, right?
Hmm.
For the first week, maybe they're so aware that they are that they're on camera, and then
Hmm.
they forget. Then they become
Yeah.
something else. It's like in LTTV. At some point, they forget. So I think that's what we do. Also, behavior won't get better because the minute I know I can't be seen, the way she was screaming, I was like, this is one of those people who, for every post, will answer with a long, angry thread,
Hmm.
and all somebody said was beef is better than pork. And then they will, she's she's that type. The way she's screaming, I'm like, I know this one. I know this one.
Uh, Look, I used to be one of those people in the beginning of Facebook who, especially because it was small in the beginning, it was like you and maybe 200 of your friends, and they were actually
Yes.
people you knew. And I would be
Yes.
like, someone would post something and say like, oh, isn't it terrible what the ANC are doing in, Kuruleni? And I'd be like, well, let's look at this. Let's talk about this a little bit, blah, 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 or find some article and then reference. Now, to get me to do anything but just like something, even if you're a really
Yeah.
good friend of mine, let's say you're a
Yeah.
friend and you post something like you celebrating your 15th wedding anniversary with your
Right.
husband or wife, then I'm like, but I'm not going to go on there and make too much noise because these days it's exhausting. So
No, everything's a problem. Everything.
less is more, man. But
Yeah.
now I don't know what will get a reaction out of me anymore. I mean, you really have to work extra hard, and not because I'm like smart or anything. I've just become very it takes a lot now to get a reaction out of me. Where before,
Right.
I think I've just built like how you build up that thick skin. Um,
Yes. Yes.
that's what's happened.
Yeah, but you've also taken like punches. That's why. And then at some point you're like, actually, these punches are not changing the price of bread in my life. And
No,
by the time you notice that your skin was so thick, you know what I mean?
right.
I don't know. It's there's an addiction to outrage porn. There's outrage porn that people cannot
Mm.
resist when it comes to, especially Twitter. Like I feel like of all the social media spaces, I find Twitter very toxic. And
Mm.
it's hilarious because as soon as our boy Elon Musk took over and everybody was like, I'm leaving, most of the people who said they weren't leaving, first of all, you tweeted that you're leaving. On the very platform, you said you're leaving. And then you waited to see how everybody reacts to the fact that you said you're leaving. So,
Right.
like, everybody's having their own damn supply. And then you check, those people are still on the damn thing, and they're still coming to check if anybody saw that they said they're leaving. I'm like,
It's like those couples who break up, but then he drives past her house every day to see to see what's.
at least he actually left. I don't know. We're very
Well,
strange creatures. But I
we
think
are.
it's because I think it's because everybody. Honestly, I think what's happening with all of this, like everyone's watching you and everybody's ready to cancel you. I feel like everyone who's ever been bullied is coming back, but it's not like they're back for vindication. I don't think they
Mm.
realize it's like when the victim becomes the villain, because now they're
Mhm.
bullying everyone into silence because of whatever hurt them when somebody else said some stuff to them, and
Yeah,
it's
I
exhausting.
I want to get one of those little those dolls that like the old rag dolls that the kids used to play with when
I'm
we were
not voodoo
children.
doll.
Huh? Not a voodoo one, no, but I want to take it and I want to hold it up for people like that every time they start down one of those, like victim
Oh,
becomes the victimizer thing. Hold up the doll and just say to them, "Show me where on the doll the bad man touched you," and then move forward from there. And then they can realize like this is not the place to do your amateur psychology. You know.
this is
Anyway,
true. This is true.
have you got plans
They
for
think
the holidays? Are you going away or are you going to be working the whole way through?
Okay, so I work really, really hard December right up until the 16th. That's been my
Mm.
rule for the past few years since my kids got a little bit older. And I was just like, okay, I need to spend time with the family. What I have realized though is it's December holidays are my worst. That is my least amount of rest because when you go on holiday with kids, you're not going on holiday. They're going on holiday. You're going to be a butler and a policeman and a security and health control. You're not going on holiday, you know. So I'm really looking forward to my kids getting older. Like I feel like all I'm doing is going time, age these children, because I want a real family holiday where we all arrive at a place and we're like we'll see each other at dinner, you know.
So you need a holiday after the holiday.
Always without fail,
Mm.
without fail.
Yeah, it's
That's
like
why when
it's
I
like we
Mhm.
No, we played on the show a couple of times at the idea of like we should do a 4-day working week. But you know what would happen is people would just party until because like if you go to certain places, there's parties on a Sunday, and I've
Yeah.
never understood this. People like to have a full go on a Sunday, and I think, ooh, I don't mind a Friday. I don't mind a Friday and a Saturday if it's December. But yes, it's a Sunday as well. Then you have to feel like shit on the Monday morning. Not for me.
Yeah, but isn't it you're not going to an interview, you're going to work. You've already secured it. You don't need to be fully
Mm,
present. It's yours.
I
So
I understand
Monday's
I
a
understand the
recovery day.
thinking, but I
Yeah,
reckon if
Monday was
we if we
invented for recovery.
if we got 3-day weekends, people would also fill up the third day as well with like puzza and socializing and all that shit. It wouldn't be like you'd use because what you're talking about now with December is after the holiday, the family holiday with the children, which you say is rightly it's exhausting for you.
Exhausting.
Like you need a couple of days to like otherwise you don't really
Mm.
feel like you had a holiday at all. I'm saying if we did that every week, if we gave everybody a little weekend after the weekend, they would just use it like they use the normal weekend and there'd be no improvements.
That's Maybe. Or the idea of it is why they'd be better because they'd be like, yeah, but I got extra. I can't complain. You know what I mean? But I
Yeah.
mean, I think unofficially we all know Monday is a recovery day. But then I don't have a 9 to 5, so I don't know. But I just know Monday is my recovery day. Even when I did have a 9 to 5, actually, I was like, I know Monday is not my most productive day, but call me on
Oh no.
Tuesday.
I'm the
Yeah.
opposite. I like to get stuck in and do like 90% of my week's work on a Monday, and
Oh,
whatever's left that I
nice.
don't do on a Monday, I get done on a Tuesday, and then from Wednesday on, like whatever comes, I'm ready for. I've like got a clean inbox. I'm ready to take on extra stuff. I'll organize the next week's meetings, and no, Monday morning I want to just get shit done. Nothing worse for me than a slow start to the week. Ugh,
See, that's why you have the big bags, my friend. This is exactly why. Eh? Yeah, it's
I don't
not
know
by
about that.
accident. It's by design.
I don't know about that. Well, speaking about the big bucks and pala pala, I mean, this is all anyone's talking about at the moment is, and Carl says, Gareth, is Cyril resigning or not? Either way, I don't care. The ANC only has 18 months left. Well, I've heard so many stories this weekend from different sources I have about how he has resigned. Some people saying he's never going to resign. But this is just such a bad state of affairs. Like, we're all trying to relax and go into the end of the year, and these fucking
Yeah.
politicians are like driving our stress levels up.
Yeah. See, you know what I hate is those guys, like a couple that has a fight and then they must involve all of us. I
Yeah.
feel like ANC has their little squabbles and go, it's like we'll show you. And then as a country, we're going, please don't make us part of your mess. So we are just the guys who become part of the mess. Then we get worked up and discuss and have all these
Mm-hmm.
endless arguments and discussions. Meanwhile, they know how they are going to do this thing themselves. So why are we here? Let's just watch the movie and see how it ends. That's my honest opinion. Let's just see how this movie ends. Because from the minute I was hearing that an intelligent businessman is banking in a mattress, I was like, ah, you guys are playing games. You guys are playing serious games with us here. I don't have time for this nonsense. Haven't followed it up. What don't any facts about figures? I was just like, now you're just taking us for monkeys. I'm not getting involved in this conversation. Also, because when it comes to succession and that party, I feel like
Yeah.
nothing is circumstantial, nothing is sudden, nothing is a new discovery that is now being dealt with. It's just people flexing on each other because there is about to be a shift in power within that place, and then we must all be caught up in it. I personally, like the guy who says he's giving them 18 months, I am really praying this country gets to a coalition government quickly because we don't have time for this nonsense. We really don't.
Yeah. Rebellious Ruth says that apparently Paul O'Sullivan had an interview with Alec Hogg, and they reckon that they're trying to blackmail Cyril. I, I said this on Friday, and it didn't go down too well with the people who listen to this show, so I'm in trouble at the moment. But
Oh,
I've decided for my peace of mind in December, based exactly on what you've just said to me, which is why I was laughing so much because it's true. I don't want this stuff to ruin my year. And there's been enough of this shit this year. I would like actually to enjoy my December, and I'm not going to let these clowns make it worse. So I think we've just lost Dumi, but I'm going to have a good time. I'm not going to let this thing get to me. So my only take on this is to say that the latest news, and I'll read the story that we've got for you for this morning. Apparently, this is from Sky News, international news. So they say South Africa's Cyril Ramaphosa will not resign after the Farmgate scandal. The head of state has come under pressure to quit over accusations that he stashed millions of dollars in sofas at his private ranch and then covered up its theft. I like the way that we have to use the American term ranch. He's got a ranch, he's got a private ranch. Anyway, the head of state, who is currently in the UK on a visit, has come under pressure to quit after accusations that he stashed millions in a sofa on his private game farm and then covered up the theft. An independent parliamentary inquiry found Ramaphosa may have breached anti-corruption laws, but his spokesman insisted he would not step down, claiming support from allies. Who knows? That's the only news I have here. That's from Sky. There is another story about the presidency refuting claims that he abandoned Friday's NEC meeting, because apparently Cyril wasn't there at all. And this comes from Eyewitness News. So they say the president didn't snub his party, but stayed away as agreed upon with acting Secretary General Paul Mashatile. So
so they
Mashatile
agreed
himself.
together without telling everybody else.
Yeah. Well, this is how it works. Like you said, they flex on each other because they're now jockeying for position. Mashatile himself told journalists following a quick adjournment of the special meeting at Nasrec that Ramaphosa had not formally consulted with the organization, but was instead speaking to stakeholders outside.
Say stakeholders for me again.
Stakeholders. You know that's how you meant to say it, right?
Yes, that's how you killed me. Everything was smooth until stakeholders. Like, the minute they say stakeholders, I also feel like they're going stay in your lane. When they say stakeholders, they're going, this is the part where your opinion doesn't matter. Like, that's every time I hear stakeholders, I'm like, well, that's rude. Okay, I'll sit back then.
Yeah, you're not in this club.
Yeah, I'm not
Oh,
in
man.
this club. Like, I
Yeah,
love
Carl
this
says,
country. Oh.
I know. Carl says, I agree with Tumi. They're making us a puss.
Hey, Carl, how did you know? I wanted, it was right on the tip of my tongue. I didn't want to use that. Thank you, Carlos, for airing that word for me.
Billy
Like,
says,
the lady was
I
like,
always find cash and M&Ms in my sofa.
And you probably get a better interest rate also from your couch if you put 5.6 million. Have you seen what's happening financially
How
in the world right
often
now?
how often do you actually pick up those cushions on your sofa and like clean under there? Because I don't often, and then I will also find like
Yeah.
M&Ms or an old Simba chip or like something that's been there for a long ass time, and you're like, but I'm a pretty clean person. How did that get there? It's amazing what shit will gather in a sofa. But there's a difference between what will gather in a sofa on its own and what you're actually putting in. Remember, this is the funny thing about that whole Cyril story is they apparently took out the stuffing because there was so much money. They took out the stuffing and put the cash in. That's how much there was.
That the thing was still solid with that as cash. Yeah, but
And
it's
people are
round,
saying,
eh? It's round, so it can't really have. I mean, rounds, you need a lot of them nowadays to make a difference. So it must be.
was it Ront or was it dollars?
Was it dollars?
I don't know. I somehow recall something about dollars, but maybe I'm wrong.
Was it
I don't know.
dollars?
Yeah.
Ooh, if it was dollars,
Dollars.
I'm very impressed. Me, I thought it was a mattress, not a sofa. So I was like, ooh, Mr. President, how have you been sleeping? Like,
Well,
that's not the kind of thing.
they say, well, I'll sleep very well on my pillow full of money, but I don't think it's actually very comfortable.
No, you are hearing khwasha in between your dreams. I would not be comfortable at all. But in the mattress, I'm thinking, hey, Cyril is the princess and the pea. He goes to bed, he can feel there's a rent missing, and he's like, who took out my daughter? Like, you just realize this mattress is feeling a little bit $100 short,
Yeah. Steve says all he finds in his sofa is dog biscuits. Oh, I'm sorry. That's terrible.
Hey, but this thing of hiding things, because my kids have phones for obvious reasons, and there's one that disappeared months ago, right? Months ago, and then we were renovating, and this is in the US, and we moved the couch, and there's the phone. These
Been there the whole
little
time.
nonsenses, because every evening they have to submit their devices, right? Because we need them to sleep. These little nonsenses have been hiding this thing in the couch, and we forget about it, right? Because it's an old phone. So that's how so then they forgot that's their hiding place. Because because my son saw it and he had the look on his face. And I'm
you
angry
figured it
because
out.
I'm gonna replace this thing. I thought we lost it on a flight, So yeah, maybe he'd even forgotten it was there and goes, yeah, man, I always knew I had an extra 1.6 million somewhere, man.
Exactly.
Oh, God, man.
I mean, I've sometimes put on a jacket for the first time in a long time, and I'm like, there's 50 rand. I mean, it's not on,
And
it's not on.
right?
Oh, it's the best. It's not like Cyril's level of like millions, but for me, finding an extra 50 rand is like, that's quite nice. I didn't know I had that. That's good shit.
It's like McDonald's and they went to private school. Because you know that when the guy finds all the coins under the couch and then he can go and buy himself a happy meal. Now
Yeah,
it's like it really was like, yo, I can go and buy myself the whole chain again.
exactly.
Anyway,
And he did once own the whole
he
chain.
did
That's the
it.
funny.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, okay. So you aren't doing a big holiday. You're going to just try and keep yourself relaxed here. I mean, I'm not going away. I think I've got 1 week at the end of the year where I've got to go to a wedding, and I've got New Year. That's all. Other than that, I'm at
Yeah.
home. I'm at home
No, see,
because
yeah.
that's where I relax.
We've come out of a panoramic. So there are people who they they go wild. They're like, yeah, it's our first open time of the panoramic. We're going all the way, pulse to the wall. And they go,
Mm,
don't go pulse to the wall. Financially, that makes zero sense. So for me, I think because we're trying to settle into the US and the dollar is what it is. I would love to go wild, but I can't afford to go wild. So I'll
oof.
probably go wild next year to celebrate that I am still there because
Mm,
I feel like every other day that I'm there, I'm going, why am I here? I have I have a whole home there. Why am I here?
yeah.
Because we're like, yo, at least that's load shedding. The country, Tumi, be glad you left. The country is going to get. Be glad you left. No, friend. We are the most functioning, dysfunctional country I've ever been in. I
Uh,
love this country to death. Yes. We really underestimate how much we get done in this country. We really underestimate how much we, the citizens, keep this place going. Like, we need to give ourselves
I'm
props. We
so
complain
I'm
more
so
than we
glad.
give ourselves props.
I'm so glad you're saying this because it's something that comes up often. People are like, "Oh, well, the grass is greener." And we've spoken to people who are very happily living overseas, and we've spoken to people who are very unhappily living overseas, and people who want to come back and have come back. And, it's an ongoing debate because I think South Africa's got this, like with so many other things about us, we've got this insecurity complex about ourselves. But you are so right. And having experienced it now, the best and the worst, having, you have to work your backside off to earn a
Yeah.
dollar in America, but you also have to work your backside off to earn a rand in South Africa. But there's something about this place that you just know, like, no matter how much they say it's going to go to shit, there's still going to be people who make it work somehow, in spite of ourselves. We get things to work.
As long as there's Africans. Even the way we are divided on so many things, when it's time to fix something, when it's time to come together, we are there.
Mm,
And I love that about us. It's the thing that
yeah,
makes me go, you can't, I don't care where you live in the world, you can never disconnect from this place. You can
that's
never
very
disconnect from
special.
South Africa, bro. It's an incredible place to be. You know what I mean? I,
So
yeah,
let
yeah.
me let me let me fill you with hope this morning. Tyron says, I once hid $500 in a tin of coffee, but also stopped drinking coffee. I found it about 3 years later. It was the best day ever. Yo, that's nice.
And it was worth even more.
Mm,
Except now
absolutely.
I know, guys, if I break into a white person's house, I'm going first to the coffee. I'm going to your coffee machines. I never thought I'm banking this one. Yeah. When I move
Right.
into that complex, now I know. Next door, look in the coffee.
Wendy says, yes, to me. I love us. Been to Germany twice this year, and while everything is so operational there, we have soul here.
Amen. We have soul. That's the thing. We even across the board have Ubuntu. It's actually ingrained in us. We are
Mm.
actually across the board. We have such heart. Your South Africans have heart. Even the crappy little ones who I tend to encounter overseas, in spite of
Yeah,
themselves, they
the
still
grumpy
come with
ones.
heart. Mm, mm, mm.
So we were talking about this just a little bit earlier on with regard to Twitter, but Elon Musk has just vowed that he is going to get into the interface implants in human brains within 6 months. I don't know if I'm excited about this, but let's just hear the story and then we can decide whether or not we would sign up. But he's got this business called Neuralink, right? And one of his companies would, in 6 months, he says, be able to implant a device in a human brain that would allow the brain and a computer to communicate directly. I mean, that is quite something. I think Tumi's just frozen again. Maybe her Neuralink connection just died out. He says, we've submitted, I think, most of our paperwork to the FDA, and And we think probably in about 6 months, we should be able to have our first Neuralink in a human. We've been working hard to ready our first human implant. And obviously, we want to be extremely careful and certain that it will work well before we put any device inside a human. So I don't know. Are you one of those people? Because I mean, the best, let's say the far end of like fantasy of what this could be is it could allow you to, instantly have like Wikipedia connected to your brain. You'd know more than any other living human being. You could look up anything. You can't remember that word. You'd be Googling it before you'd have to type it into your phone. Or you'd be able to like upload whole languages or engineering manuals or whatever it is that you want to know. And that's the positive side. The negative side is obviously that we still haven't figured, and I don't think Neuralink have either, how organic brain matter is going to communicate well with computer microchips. But if he's figuring these things out, I'm not going to be at the front of the queue, but I'm curious to see what happens. Like, I don't know who the first person is going to be to do this, but it's not going to be me.
Gareth, the idea of me driving, walking, jogging, minding my own business, having a conversation at dinner, and then I can never believe what Mr. Zwick did for me. 500,000 in my bank account. It really works. Forex _ what. That will be happening to me as I'm sitting, chilling, minding my own business. Have you tried being online for anything? I'll be Bitcoin, what coin? Forex traders. No. It gives me no headache.
Imagine you're sitting there talking to your friends, and suddenly you go like, get this glazed look, and you're like, if you haven't invested yet in this new trade exchange, you need to start doing this today. I want to say a big thank you to Miss Morake for making me a billionaire. All your friends are like, oh shit, his Neuralink has been hacked.
I'm sorry. These bots are too fast. I don't want. Miss me with that. Because technically this chip is already there. It's just not physical. We are attached. I'm attached to my phone. I'm never disconnected from, the virtual
And
world. So
also, like, we know what people will do. It's fine for us to say, hey, you'll upload a language package, which, I mean, maybe that's a thing I would do because I'm fascinated by language and I'd love to be able to speak like 20 different languages, like really fluently. But we know what people are really going to do. If you have the internet hooked up to your head the whole time, you know what people are going to do, right? It's going to be porn. It's going to be gambling. It's going to be bad. It's going to be, they're not going to use it for good things. Who do we think we're dealing with?
Porn under bad things.
Well, let's just be honest about this. People are going to spend it. You'll see, like, you'll see someone at the braai where that woman lost her shit earlier. You're going to see someone sitting at the braai, and then suddenly they're going to be like, and their eyes are going to shut. And you're going to be like, oh, God. Someone hit Sean, please. He's back on obviously on Pornhub. He was bored with our conversation, started going straight to Pornhub. I'm telling you.
I love the coming face.
The eyes will cross. They'll start to drool. Can you imagine? It's going to be such a mess. We're such monkeys. We really are. Yeah.
That is hilarious. That's funny. But no, miss me with that. Thank you.
Yeah, I want to. This is definitely the sort of thing. In fact, this is what this metaphor was made for, where you wait for at least 100,000 other people to try it out and successfully have some amazing application for it before you even think about it. Plus, it's going to be really expensive in the beginning. And then if it actually works, like 20 years from now, you could buy it cheap. It's like, the cost of TVs or computers. They've come down and down and down because they become cheaper to make.
The 4-on-1 scams. Imagine the 4-on-1 scams that are going to come out of that.
Right.
Then you won't be sure if that was your actual bank or whether that was someone accessing your chip.
You won't know.
All your funds are gone. You won't know.
Yonder says Neuralink is an interface to assist us to have bigger capacity in doing things. It's also going to assist people with disabilities to have their senses back. It's not plug and play like a PC. Well,
that
again,
makes sense.
But Yonder, even so, it's going to take a long time for them to get it right. a long time, and
But
I'm not
also,
going to be first in that queue.
yeah, but also then we have to be extra protective of the people who are living with disabilities, because then I feel like just in the name of, but this could change their lives, we go and do dangerous experiments on them. I
Mm.
am actually even
Mhm.
extra uncomfortable. That feels very immoral.
It's because it is immoral on every level, right? Well,
Yeah.
we've got Dr. Hanan joining us in just a moment or two for It's Going to Be Okay. He's a renowned psychologist, head of the Anxiety and Trauma Clinic in Johannesburg, and we speak to him every Monday because people need like the head doctor on a Monday first thing. And we'll be talking to him. And you've got some questions for him as well, haven't you?
Got a couple of questions,
Mm.
yes. Oh.
All right, well, we'll get into that just now. As long as Ricky says, as long as this Neuralink doesn't end up and we buy it at a Pakistani store for 25% of the price. Can you imagine? You're like, I can't afford the big Neuralink. I'm just going to go to the Pakistani store on the corner and rather get the cheaper one. You know, like the
Now
feature
we know
phone.
where now we know where Ricky's getting the Christmas presents, huh? Ricky.
Hey, listen, that's a secret that when you find one of those China malls, especially for the little kids in the family, you go there, you can find lots of cool stuff. I mean, it probably won't last more than 2 days after Christmas, but for that 2 days, they're going to have the best time ever. All
Yeah,
right,
have you
let's
met
turn
my
our attention. Let's turn our attention to Dr. Hanan. Hey, Doc, how are you?
Hey, I'm doing great. How are you guys?
Good. It's nice to
good?
see you. And Dumi's very excited to see you too. So let's get straight into it. Dums, you have a private session with the psychologist, and
I do, I do.
we all get to be eyewitness to this. So go ahead. What's your story?
So my question is just with, since the pandemic, we've all spent so much time with our spouses. And I was just curious, is there a nice way to ask your partner for space without sounding like they've done anything wrong? Like, is there a nice way of not starting tension in the relationship, but ask for space?
Yes, for sure. So I'll give you a little bit of background. I always like to give context before I give advice because the moment you understand why you do the things that you do, you can replicate it. So if I tell you, do this, do that without giving you context, then the next time something comes up, then you won't know what to do because you don't have the mechanics of why you're doing what you're doing. So every relationship works because we fulfill each other's needs. We call it need bidding. So we constantly are asking for our needs to be fulfilled. And our needs change all the time. So today I need water for my partner, tomorrow I need food, the next day I need shelter, the next day I need oxygen. And the problem comes up is one, when I don't communicate my needs at all, and I expect my partner to guess what I need, and obviously they get it wrong. Or two, I speak in general terms. So a lot of mistakes are made in terms of communication where partners speak in generalities. So for example, if my wife turns to me and says to me, Hanan, I need more love. My answer to my wife would be, well, no problem, but what does it mean? Because love to her is very different to love to me. And if I try to satisfy her need in terms of love, according to what I understand, I will naturally disappoint her. She will be resentful towards me, and I will resent her as well. If she says, Hanan, I need more affection, no problem, but what does it mean? I want to boil it down to specific behavioral things. I want to be so specific that I want her to literally say, when you get home, the first thing you do is you come give me a hug, hold me for 30 seconds. Perfect. When you're specific, there's no room for misinterpretation or miscommunication. We understand each other. Now, the problem again is when I don't give my wife what she needs, I don't fulfill her need, then she resents me. Here's another interesting one to me. Whenever you don't give someone what they need, they resent you. But here's an interesting one. The moment you give them what they don't need, they resent you too. So the moment you give them what they don't need, they resent you too. So I'll give you an analogy. Imagine you've just had a 7-course meal, you stuffed and you can't think of food. Now I now slave in the kitchen for 7 hours, making you the most incredible burger you've ever had, and I shove the burger down your throat. Naturally, you're going to resent me because I fed you with something that you did not need. Now I'm going to resent you too because how come you don't appreciate me slaving in the kitchen for so long? Now, again, a relationship is based on healthy communication. So needing space in a relationship is completely appropriate. Completely appropriate. Now, how much space you need in a relationship is negotiated in the relationship. Some people have the temperament that they need more space. They recharge literally on their own most of the time. Some people need less space. And we all need space. We all need to recover and get calibrated with our friends, with our families, with our work colleagues, with other people, not just our partners. That's why if you take two of the healthiest relationships and you put them in a room for too long, there's an explosion. Conflict starts to come up because you need to find your separation and you need to find your space and your comfort with other people too. So to answer your question is, should you be asking for space? Absolutely. But the way I want you to ask for space is, one, obviously with kindness and respect, but two, be specific of what that means. Because if you turn to your partner and say, I need space, that is airy-fairy nonsense. It doesn't mean anything. What does it mean? Does it mean that I mustn't see you today? Does it mean that I mustn't speak to you today? Does it mean that I mustn't speak to you for a week? Does it mean that I mustn't answer your call? Does it mean that I mustn't call you? So, and a lot of times, by the way, to me, that when we ask for things, we're not actually sure of what we're asking for. Yeah. So when you ask your partner for space, you're like, I think I know what that means, but I'm not actually sure exactly. And if you don't know what that means, can you imagine how confused your partner is? So before you actually ask for it, know exactly what you're looking for and ask for it in specific terms. And you can negotiate in the relationship.
Sure. That's such a, I'm really fascinated. You sometimes bring up these things, Doc, and I think that seems so obvious, but why haven't I heard it before? Like this thing around, if you get what you don't need, you can be resentful. You know, we often think, well, you know, if someone doesn't need something, but you give it to them anyway, well, they'll be grateful and we'll just move on. They won't be as grateful as the thing they need. But actually, you're right. Like they'll become resentful. Completely,
because we're feeding them with something that they already have. If I give you, it's like we give our kids, you know, presents that they already have. We give them another jersey or another, then they don't want it. And we're wondering why they're not as thankful as they should be. Nobody should be thankful. You should just be wise enough to be able to figure out exactly what the other person needs, and a better one, communicate and figure it out in the conversation.
No, that's handy. Tumi, do you know what you want when you want some space? I mean, are we getting into the specifics here? Because, for example, I'm one of those people, like Dr. Hanan says, who really, I like to recharge on my own. I like a lot of space. I live on my own. When I want to see people, I'll invite them or I'll go and see them.
Yeah, no, because, you know, when you live a life like ours where we are run by calendar, you know, we put everything in the calendar because there are 3 different kids with 3 individual needs. Then there's a household, then there's us. And I just feel like I need to unplug because I'm answerable to too many people. And then you have this person who needs you. And I'm going, I want a break. I want to break structure because as long as I'm in our space, I have to live and color within the lines. So I want to be left alone to just breathe.
Okay, so let me ask you, what does it mean? So let's say I'm your partner, okay? So you say to me, I need space. And I say to you, okay, cool, no problem. But what does it mean?
So it means for the next 3 days, don't schedule what I'm doing. Know that I'm just not available. I may be in the house, I may be out of the house, but it's not going to be in the diary. You're not going to be able to check what I'm doing at 2 p.m. I literally want to free fall for 3 days because living on a schedule, I feel like I'm more tense now because I'm living on a schedule, and it just, look, the schedule is important because then when you deviate, you can see you've deviated and you know where to go back. But sometimes I feel like, leave me alone. I want to just go. I'm going to go out. I might go, you know, to a spa. I might go painting, but I'm going to do it by myself. And it's not going to be in the calendar. I'm not going to specify what I'm doing. Because usually the problem and the tension comes with, but I didn't know that's what you're doing. I didn't know you're going to be partying at 10. You didn't put it in the diary. And I go, I didn't put it in the diary because this is an easy day. And I figured today I'm going to zen live for a day. You know what I mean?
Okay, so I'm your partner, right? So I'm going to say to you, okay, so what I'm hearing you say is that for the next 3 days, I'm not going to check up on you. You can do whatever you want. You're not going to be accountable to me. I'm not going to phone you, see where you're doing, what you're doing, how you're doing. So today is Monday, so it's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. On Thursday, we return back to normal and now we can be accountable to each other. Is that right?
Yes, regular programming on Thursday.
Lovely. Great. That's communication. And by the way, the truth is that you have a partner that might say to you, can we negotiate that? So I know you want 3 days. Can we do 2 days as an example? Can we start rescheduling on Wednesday? And that's what a give or take in a relationship is. And you go, you know what? I think that's fair. Let's get back to rescheduling or normal life on Wednesday. And that's what good communication is. But that's excellent, because now I know, as your partner, I know exactly what you expect from me. It's not up for general interpretation. I know exactly. So until Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I'm going to leave you alone. You're not going to be accountable. We're not going to make contact. Where are you? What you doing? How you doing? I'm going to let you be. Thursday morning, we wake up and we restart life again.
Right.
Lovely.
But okay. So does it never become about them? Because my issue is then going, so in that 3 days, do we get a date night? And you're like, because you understand I want to go have fun. And I think as a person, I worry about what the other person's thinking I'm saying about them. So I also do worry about him hearing, I can't have fun with you. I'm going to go have fun by myself.
Yeah, but the truth is, you have hopefully a partner that's an adult and a mature communicator too, and he says, listen, these 3 days are not working for me. Can we negotiate that? Or you know what? Can you? I'll let you be and I'll let you do. You're not accountable to me, but maybe in the evenings you can catch up with me and let me know what you're doing and where you are. Is that fair? So that during the day you're on your own, you're doing your own thing, but in the evenings catch up with me. Or you have a partner that says, I'm good to go, but listen, I'm also going to do my own thing. Then I'm not accountable to you either. So until Thursday, I'm going to do my own thing. I'm going to be with my life. I'm going to be with my friends. Please don't check in with me because I also want that break. So you negotiate that in the relationship, which is right or wrong. That's negotiated.
Nice.
Yeah. Doc, we got to talk at some point. I think we've got next week still, and maybe even one more week after that, where we've got to talk about these things that people are going to have to put up with now for the holidays. Family. I mean, there's a lot of stress and tension and anxiety and difficulty for people, especially the big family gatherings. Massive pressure, and we've got to find a way to get through all of this.
Yeah, for sure. Especially these times, depression is through the roof, anxiety is through the roof, family dynamics. You put, as I said, too many people in a room. There's so many dynamics and so many needs and wants and likes and expectations. So conflict is naturally going to come up, and you got to learn how to actually navigate these relationships to make sure that everybody kind of dances nicely around the table.
It's like an emotional blackmail holiday. Like honestly, because I feel I've had that internal conversation with myself of how often are you doing this because you think you have to, and how much do you really want to do this? You know what I mean? Like it's a lot.
For sure. But you know what, Tumi, I want to just highlight something quite interesting that you said, and I think it will help everybody, where so many times in a relationship, whether between partners or between family members, we feel incredibly guilty. We feel bad for the other person. So when we feel guilty, we actually don't speak up because we feel guilty for the other person, or we feel that we might upset the other person might be offended on some level, or we're not satisfied, because we're literally raised from age 0 to look after everybody else's needs. And being selfish has become almost like a swear word. We just don't give ourselves permission to look after our needs. I want you to take guilt out of the picture and act as if you are dealing with another mature communicator, and let them speak up in terms of what they need. But you look after your needs, you speak your needs, you let them look after their needs, you let them speak their needs, and you negotiate that maturely in a relationship. To make a relationship work, there has to be communication, compromise, and maturity. And if you're able to communicate, you're able to compromise, and you do so with kindness and maturity, two people can get creative enough and always come up with a solution that works for everybody. I always tell couples, you want to leave a conversation with a balloon each. If the one partner leaves with 2 balloons and the other partner leaves with nothing, resentment is going to build. So yeah, the other partner wins, but the relationship loses. You want to leave a conversation, a communication with 2 balloons each, that you've given something, but you've gained something from the conversation. I always tell partners, look after your needs, let the other person look after their needs, communicate, make sure that you leave with something.
Beautiful. All right. Well, that is the best way to end this little session for this morning. We'll catch up again, Dr. Hanan, next week, and Tumi and I will carry on, hopefully entertaining you, keeping you busy, keeping you informed, and all the rest of it in the next hour. It's still coming up. allcliffcentral.com in the next hour. It's 7 o'clock. Thanks, Doc. Cheers. We'll see him soon. All right. We'll be back in just a moment. Don't go anywhere.
This week on the Auto Trader Podcast.
5 new ways to make your fuel last longer.
This is going to be interesting.
Many times, but what is your take on, every single cost-saving technique or fuel-saving technique that you've heard of? What's your favorite? Do you debunk them all? Is there
so I think if you drive every day, the best thing you can do is practice using the brakes less. Now, don't crash. It's not a recipe for crashing. Catch us every Monday at 9 a.m. on YouTube and on autotrader.co.za.
Just because it's about technology, connecting your business to the rest of the world doesn't mean you need to send rockets to space and use complicated solutions. Want to simplicate things? Well, join Jaco Voigt, who is the CEO of Catalytic, on the Unbundled podcast. With skin in the game and a keen focus on educating and assisting you and your business, Jaco decodes all the aspects of connectivity, security, and cloud solutions. Unbundled is brought to you by Catalytic and is available on cliffcentral.com, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts. cliffcentral.com on Monday morning. There's Leigh-Ann Moll. She's alive.
Out of the dark and into the light.
What happened there? Did you have an unscheduled power interruption?
Yes, indeed. Hit me rudely at 1:45.
Oh, my God.
But with enough residents lobbying together and logging complaints, we are back.
I love it.
Well, I'm very happy. You see, Tumi was talking earlier about how resilient South Africans are. We're like, yeah, well, power interruptions. We'll just carry on. We've got shit to do, people to see, places to go. It's good stuff. I thought, like, Dr. Hanan made a really interesting point just now. You know, we often think about how we're doing someone a favor. But if you're giving someone something they don't need, you might actually be pissing them off. Like, it's such a... Because often, you know, we think about giving. This has really blown my mind, in case you haven't picked up on this. But, like, when we think we're giving someone something, like, let's say you give a friend, I don't know, a pen, but they haven't used a pen in ages because they're in front of their laptop the whole time or something. It's just... you think you're doing them a favor. You think you're being generous and kind, but actually you're pissing them off. They're like, I don't need this thing. It's just going to clutter up my day and make me irritated. Right?
100%.
Yeah, and then you don't understand why they're upset. Like, I'm not upset why they're not thanking you. Because you also, you
Yeah.
get those people who, you've done something they didn't ask you for. And then you're
Right.
upset that they didn't appreciate it. And they're like, but I
Right.
didn't need it.
Right.
You know.
I remember being at school, in high school, and at the time, not that any of them work, anti-cellulite creams were all the rage. And they just like hit the market with these massage plastic things with spikes, and it became all very popular, and they were super expensive and luxurious items. And so when it came round to birthday time, I bought my friend one of these.
Oh shit.
Look, in hindsight, okay, but I was only about 15. But her face when she opened it, oh God, I felt so bad. But we used to walk around saying, oh, I wish we could have this. I wish we could buy it, This like new miracle cream. Yeah, so that was a bad one.
Listen,
Not a good one.
yeah, you can't be giving people stuff like that. I heard the worst story the other day about this guy who was in a client meeting with one of his clients, and the client had the same name as someone on the staff at the business. And the person on the staff at the business had just found out that she was pregnant. And somebody said to one of the directors of the company, Tumi's pregnant. And so this guy walks up to the client who's not pregnant and rubs her belly like this and goes, congratulations. But the client is not, she's just fat. And this is an important client of theirs.
Oh.
But
yeah, it's 2022, nearly 2023, and unless you are like the person's sister or mother, we don't go around rubbing pregnant bellies anymore,
Right.
No, but look, with fairness, this happened a long time ago. It's become one of those legendary stories.
Yeah.
This was back in the day where that was acceptable. He's not that much of a creep that he's walking around rubbing stomach.
Back in the day, it was like you almost had to do it. It was a sign of
You actually cared.
Acceptance and caring, and I'm really so happy for you. Yeah, it was a thing, right?
When?
Oh, Baba.
When? I'm just asking. I'm a top 3. When this back in the day was happening, where you could just randomly rub a pregnant woman's tummy, because we hate that. I'm yet to meet one pregnant woman who says, "Oh yeah, I miss it so much," when people just rub my belly. The best. We're so disconnected as a society. Nobody rubs my belly anymore. I don't think it's ever been a thing, guys.
Carl says, just putting you in your place, Leigh-Ann, you went to school in the South. Nothing you say counts.
Yeah, we were obsessed with touching people's pregnant bellies in the South.
Yeah, that's what you guys used to do. Sanele says, the dirty South, bro.
Yeah. Is it?
Man.
Is it?
Someone was we got into this whole conversation on Friday about how we don't see Unos on the road anymore. And then I got so many messages from people during the show. And then afterwards, I got emails of people sending me like photographs of Unos saying, no, look, we still get Unos here in Mayerton or wherever else it was. Yes.
So my high school boyfriend had an Uno Turbo.
Hey,
a black Uno Turbo with red seats and a nice big exhaust.
Ooh,
and they were actually, hey? Oh. Black with a nice exhaust, big exhaust. And funnily enough, tall. And the problem with the design of this car was that it was actually too tall for stability. Yeah, it didn't work out. So the Uno, specifically the Uno Turbo, because it was a little bit faster, had a warning signal on the dashboard that would come up when you were taking corners and the car was about to roll.
Oh my God.
And the way you drove these, I mean, you were only cool if that light came on every time you took a corner.
That's insane.
Oh, wow.
I remember being afraid to drive one because I just moved to Joburg and I was looking for my first car. And I swear I had this image in my head of guys just carrying my car off. I just used to go like, it's too late. I really am worried that it just needs to be lifted over my gate and it's over. So I was just like, I can't. I need... It's really, it looked, you know why? Because when we were in high school, there was a teacher we hated, this Afrikaans teacher. And so we took her Uno and we turned it and between two cars that were parked. So when she came, she couldn't go forward or backwards. She lost it. Like she lost it. Like
That's so funny. Oh,
yeah,
I love
but
that.
for a year. So they couldn't suspend us. It was like the year's over.
You all picked up her car and just turned it like parallel. That's so good.
Yes, so I was
God, I
scared
love
that,
that.
you know what, if we could do that as kids, what are you gonna do? You know?
Oh my gosh! Look at George Meany's comments. That scares me.
Hmm?
He says yes, it was a
What?
Braydton, referring to the Uno,
Yeah,
and
but
says
hang on.
two down. That's why they all crashed. Oh, my parents must have been so proud of my lifestyle back then.
But do you remember your first car? I mean, my first car was like a City Golf. No, it wasn't even. City Golf. It was an old City Golf. It had been my mother's or something, and then I got this, but I obviously had to pay it off now because now I didn't get this for free, and I had to pay it off, and there was no air conditioning, all the stuff that we like take for granted now. You still had to wind the windows like this, and if it had been in the sun, you used to have those. Do you remember those things that we used to put on our windscreens so that we could protect
Reflective.
the dashboard?
Yeah.
You remember those
Otherwise,
things?
the dashboard would crack.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And it had like there were only three things on there, and the radio where the face would detach.
Yeah.
They were stealing. They stole our car radios, so what we used to have to take the face off and like put it in our bag, and then you'd take it with you. Unbelievable.
Also, mine, I had the city shuttle, and
right.
You'd have to pull out the throttle when you had to warm up the car. Like you don't start it in the driveway, brush your teeth, and then come back in so that you could go.
Wow. I remember having to roll with antifreeze with my car so that it didn't overheat. And I used to get very confused. I'm like, why is it antifreeze if it's keeping my car from boiling? But anyway, because mine was a Toyota Corolla 1990 model with sound from Aldo's. There was no boot space, just amps. Yo, I cried like a baby when I sold that car. Yo, I cried. I was so emotional. I miss my first car.
I was way more emotional about my first car than I was about my more expensive car later on. When I got rid of that one, I didn't give a damn. But that first car, you feel some kind of attachment there. You're like, oh, this is so special. It was the first car I ever had. I used to go to varsity in this. Yeah. Oh man! But they were really shit cars compared to what we get now. And I mean, George and I talk about this sometimes on a Friday morning. But if you buy a car now, even the cheapest car now, which first of all is much more expensive than the cheapest car back then, but you get like electric windows, air conditioning,
airbags,
almost airbags, but you also get these like really complex entertainment systems, which before you didn't get any of that stuff. Like if your car came standard, it was so standard, like it was basically just the mechanics of the car, and then everything else was like going to cost you extra.
Yeah, but now it's a cock up because there's a computer involved. Now, one small thing's wrong on the dashboard, the whole car must go in. I do miss though that before it would be like, okay, that thing's wrong, but I can still drive my car. Now it's like, yo, there's one glitch, and that glitch is going to glitch everything else. So now you must leave the car. So there's that downside to it, But also miss the workout. Like I think that's why we are such a big nation and unhealthy nation. Because driving used to be an exercise as well. We got thigh workouts.
Yeah.
We got
arms, shoulders.
Shoulders. Now we just sit there and just let the car do what it does.
Do you know how many people I know who are younger than me and have never driven a manual car? They've only ever driven automatic. They don't know how to drive a manual car. If they have to rent a car, for example, they go to Durban or Cape Town or something, they have to get an automatic because they've never driven a manual car before. They wouldn't know what to do with it. They've never used the clutch and all that stuff. So this is, this is pretty wild stuff if you think about it. We're talking in one generation. It's changed that much.
Yeah, I think manuals are nice, especially for racing. It's nicer to race when I've only done it on a track.
Yeah.
Just for the record, Gareth, I see you laughing, but I do find it's much nicer to race in a manual than it is in an automatic.
Oh, definitely, much more control. Yeah.
I imagine Tumi at the robots going. Old Corolla. Did you say it was a Corolla or a Cressida? What was it?
Like Cressida, I'm not that old. That's definitely not a Cressida. Shave off 10 years. Shave off 10 years.
Cressida. I'm picturing me with her massive sound system in the back going.
Yeah.
At the robot, and then she pulls up next to you and she goes, "Hey." You wind, no, I'm winding down my Chico. My window. Hey, Tumi. Gareth. And then we go, and the wheels spin, and we go through the traffic lights. Jesus, what we had to do to entertain ourselves once.
That sounds like me.
I do have to ask you this. You girls, have you ever heard a guy with a very loud sound system in a car and have thought, "Oh, I just want to marry him. That's the hottest thing ever, 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 ever."
When I was 12.
Yeah, but there are guys who genuinely think that is the thing that's going to snag them the most beautiful girl in the world. It's like, if I just have more volume on my shit music, and it's always shit music.
No, I'm so over it.
Lights. Come on.
I don't like, I hate having other people's music forced into my ears. Their choice of music.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. No, for sure.
I'm sorry,
All right.
I still get warm when I
like it. Okay. I wondered who these people were. Now I know that there she is. Everybody, take a look at that face. That's who the person is who started this whole thing of like, oh, that music has to be extra loud so I can attract the hot chicks.
It's like a mating call.
Yeah. So Sanella says, did you guys ever have a steering lock? The one that locks your brake pedal?
Yes.
Yeah, the gorilla.
Twist them.
It was called a gorilla arm.
Yes.
And it was red, and it had like red plastic on it, and the one end was like a U shape that you would click into the steering wheel now. And then the other piece would go down.
I had the knockoff that was turquoise, and it had like a corkscrew at the end, and you had to twist it around the steering wheel. But then the criminals learned how to drive with those things still on. Like,
Yeah, the steering. Oh wow. I had that at lock nuts. Hey, the things you have to do to protect your car.
And listen, joking atheist is right. The gear lock was very effective. Just recently, my dad's got this old panel van that he uses. We call it the dog car, and it was parked outside my house. Someone tried to steal it. They'd ripped the car apart trying to get it started. The only thing they couldn't get off was the gear lock. That saved it.
Wow.
The gear lock. Jesus. This is really, we must sound so old to anyone who,
Oh, yeah.
There are no, George says rightly here, there are no bad cars now. And he also says the arm always on the windowsill in those cars. Always
yes.
One arm has to hang out of the car if you're driving one of those cars.
Even better, it must hang out the back door, the back window. Because your seat's so far back.
That's quite something, eh? Sure.
Can I offer that there are bad cars? I remember getting to a car, one of those car rental places, and they had no more cars left. And they gave me what I believe they called an i something, but it was tiny. It was like I'm driving a shack from I was in between. Bloemfontein and Tabanch. It was fine in town. It was tiny. It was shaky. But on the highway, every single car that went past the car went, woo, that was a lot. Like every little bit of car, woo, that's a car. I was so nervous.
Oh no, that's horrible. I hired a car overseas once, and I went to go and visit, a very wealthy family living in Wimbledon. And when I pulled into their long gravel driveway, you're supposed to be arriving in like a Rolls Royce or something, and I had this little black round car. It looked like a kettle, and I remember when I had to start it to leave, everyone was in hysterics because it went to start. And back down the stone driveway I went, passing all the deer.
One of my favorite things are those cars that backfire and they suddenly go pa pa. It's always so embarrassing for the people driving it.
You still hear those in Rosettenville a lot.
Yeah.
And they're often
Oh yes. Oh yeah.
Rosettenville.
Listen, that happens everywhere. I promise you. I'm in Parktown North and I can hear that happening on a Friday night.
Verpa.
And the wheel spinning and drag racing, it's just like all over. But I remember my friends of the family they always had a very old car, and there was always something wrong with it. So when they left, they would inevitably be pushing it up a hill so that they could, jumpstart it on the way down. But at one stage, their hooter was broken, and we'd just go off randomly. And they were, those days when you stood in the driveway and you waved goodbye until they left. And as they were leaving, it went doot doot as they were waving. And they phoned us to say, just to let you know, we didn't hoot. It was so appropriate.
So driving a transformer. Driving a transformer.
Oh my God, that's hilarious. No, you are right, Tumi. There are some really crap cars, though. I mean, even what we mean is that they're not. You get a lot more for your money now than I think you got in those days. You got a mechanical thing that could get you from A to B, as people used to say. But now, you get like the climate control and the entertainment system and all of that stuff in even the littlest cars. It's unbelievable. Windscreen wipers. I mean, I used to have to replace my windscreen wipers, the thing, because the rubber would deteriorate. Do you remember? And then you would be, but it wouldn't get rid of any of the water. The water would just stay where it was.
It's also because we were the kids in the family, so we got the outside parking that wasn't undercover, so everything would deteriorate faster.
Yeah, correct. Yeah, I mean, I remember those cars
Fortunate
now.
kids.
I don't have any nostalgia. Eh? I mean, I do not want to go back. And there was nothing fun about what you said earlier, like starting your car and then going to brush your teeth and then getting back in because now the engine's warmed up a little bit and that kind of shit. But we're lucky we don't live in these very cold countries where you also have to deal with snow, because people, I've heard horror stories of how people didn't leave their windscreen wipers at this angle so that the snow actually broke them, or they have to get out into their driveway first thing in the morning and actually get rid of the snow so they can drive their car out onto the street. They have to salt it or whatever else they have to do. And listen, we have more or less around the year conditions, except when it rains very hard suddenly. Then we've obviously got, flooding and that kind of thing. But we don't have snow and ice the way that they do in the Northern Hemisphere. And thank God. I mean, it would make it impossible. Imagine first thing you do, you wake up in the morning and you have to go out in like a snowman, and you have to go and shovel snow so you can get your car out and go to work.
But hang on a moment. I remember very often as a child on the way to school, I'd have to go out with warm water in a bucket and clean off our windscreens because of the frost, the ice. Yeah. How come that doesn't happen anymore? I mean, I know we've got George in the chat. Is it some different composite they're using on the windows? Because it doesn't happen anymore, right?
Right, must be.
or someone else is doing the de-icing, Leigh-Ann, because you're not the kid in the family anymore. You've got warm water in the bucket. But
It's all
apparently,
perfect when I get out.
apparently people actually pay to have their cars modified so they can backfire like that.
Oh my God.
It makes sense because, yeah, like I said in Rosettenville, it definitely doesn't sound like an accident. It's always doof doof, and then that's wonderful.
Joking Atheist says designed obsolescence is absolutely implemented in cars today. Old cars lasted longer than my grandparents back in those days. And you still see, like, you know, we were laughing about the Cressida, which I know, you know, when you talk about that's a great, like, that was the car. Do you remember that story? I was actually in Cape Town this weekend, and I was explaining to someone because I went on a little walk through Cape Town, and I saw City Hall. You know, when Mandela was released, they took him to City Hall to make his first ever speech, and it was him and Winnie. And I remember Cyril, who's our current president, well, for now, Cyril had a old Merc, and one of those old Mercedes Benz. You know those long ones.
Mm.
And
Like
Cyril
ships.
and Winnie and Madiba only knew, like, Cyril had, out of all their friends and colleagues, he had the best car. So he came to fetch them from that famous moment where they walked out of the prison, Groot Drakenstein prison, you know, and they're walking together, fists raised. And then after that, they had to go from there to Cape Town because all the people were waiting in Cape Town. And Cyril gave them a lift in his old Merc all the way to City Hall. I mean, it's a famous story in his car.
Sure.
So, you know, we think about like South Africa in the 80s, and remember all the government people used to drive those Mercs as well. A Mercedes was like, that was the powerful politician's car, you know?
Yeah. Then in '94, it became the X5s.
No,
Like, those
yeah,
became
what
the
was
tender cars.
Yeah, what was Tony Yengeni's? Was that an X5?
Yeah, yeah. Those were the big
The
ones.
famous
there.
car. We used to call it a Yengeni.
Yes, we did. We did.
Yeah. I remember that because he was the first one who got a special deal on his Yengeni, remember? Unbelievable. But yeah, some of those cars are still around, and they're probably in better condition than cars that are 5 years old in some places.
It's like the metal was better because they were heavier. They were heavier.
Right.
Yeah.
I love this. I didn't know that I was going to come onto the show this morning, and with two girls, we'd be talking about cars for half an hour. I like it. This is great. Beautiful. All right, so Leigh-Ann's got a couple of things she wants to talk about. Apparently, there's a house in Hoek that is called the Christmas Lighthouse. What's this all about?
Yeah, did anyone know about this? I mean, I lived in the next suburb, but I see now that it only started 6 years ago. So it must have started just when I left, and I hadn't heard of it before. But it's this little house in the unassuming town of Hoek along the coast. And this guy has gone out of his way. He actually lived in, I think it was in the States for a while. So that's when he started collecting his lights that are, you know, from the US. You get specific lights there that are absolutely amazing. And that's why everyone's houses in the US look so amazing around Christmas time. And he's applied this to his own home. And he starts weeks before. I think it's 4 to 6 weeks he starts before Christmas and starts laying out these lights all over the garden, up the trees, over the house. And it's quite a thing. People go there now to see it during Christmas time. But what's been happening is if he turns them off, which of course he has to, I mean, especially with the price of electricity at the moment,
of course,
people hoot late at night, usually like fueled cars of people who are hooting to have the lights put back on, and they're disturbing the entire neighborhood. So this year they've sent out a plea saying, you know, we really don't want to come across as harsh, but we can't have this sort of behavior because people are going to tell us to take this stuff down. It won't be any longer.
No.
You know, people will ruin anything. here's this guy who's made this house very pretty for the children to be like wowed and amazed, and it looks like something from the movies. And now he must not only foot the bill for like all that electricity, but also probably gets blamed when there's load shedding. Your lights, we've come all the way to, and now your lights are off. So this poor dude is probably having the worst time. There's a street in Pretoria, in Waterkloof, where all the houses, I think they've just kind of peer pressured each other now into, like, everyone decorates their houses beautifully and their lights and all kinds of things. It's a certain neighborhood, and people do, like Ruth says, there's Lawley, that's it, Lawley Street. People actually like go down the street in this parade of traffic just to see all these beautiful houses. So that's quite cute. There are neighborhoods where they make this effort.
So just to give you an idea, it costs him 1,500 Rand a week to have the lights running. However, they have used the house to raise funds for good causes. So that's quite a good thing. But if you want to know and you want to see and you don't want to hoot, it's in Lady Grey Street in Hoek. It's about a block away from the Volkswagen Hospital. And now they've had to give certain times. So they will be on from 8 to 10 at night. And on Fridays and Saturdays, it'll be on until 11. And then they end on Christmas Day.
Wow. I mean, people really should pay. I mean, if you're going to drive past there, there should be like a little box you could put a 50 Rand in. So this guy can afford the electricity. I mean, it's not fair for him to have to pay just because he's entertaining people. But I like that.
Someone's going to take off with that box.
Well, that's correct. I mean, Tumi, just like you were saying how resilient we are and how, we can always pull a first one and fix things. We can also steal and lie and complain when the lights aren't on and why aren't your lights that you're paying for on for me to be entertained? Jeez, it's unreal. Well, apparently there is an entire Pacific country that is going to upload itself into the metaverse as the world's first digital nation. Now, I was at a launch on Wednesday, and they told me that there's property in Decentraland that I can buy. Now, this is not property that actually exists in the real world. This is in the metaverse. And this guy was trying to persuade me that I need to buy some property there. And I said to him, but can I live there? He's like, yeah, your avatar can live there. I'm like, no. Can I live there? Like, can I go to sleep in a bed in the metaverse and sleep as well as I would in my own? He's like, no, sorry, you can't do that. So then I didn't understand. And I just said, I think I'm going to need another drink. And I left. But this guy was convinced that this was something that he could sell me. And Tumi, I can see you shaking your head. You don't own any property in the metaverse, do you?
No, I'm just concerned because I feel like NFTs have now gone Super Saiyan. So now the whole entire nations, guys, no, it's too much.
I don't understand this
So
stuff.
the reason why they're doing this is because, so firstly, it's a little island nation. It's an archipelago of 9 islands in the Pacific.
Okay.
All right.
And it's called Tuvalu, or I've also heard it pronounced Tuvalu.
Yes.
And it's actually each year becoming, more and more engulfed by water. So at high tide now, about 40% of its capital is underwater. So experts have said that the whole island nation will probably be uninhabitable within the next 50 years. So they haven't got a lot of time, 50 to 100 years, putting it at 80. And these islands are like full of culture. And obviously a lot of dance and music and food culture, a lot of history. So to give you an idea where they are, they're kind of halfway between Hawaii and Australia. The total land area is about 10 square miles.
Right.
And the seas are rising and starting to cover these little islands. So they're starting to lose population, history, and the culture that's specifically known on these islands will be wiped out completely. So what the I think it's the foreign minister has done is made a pledge to move Tuvalu into the metaverse. So the reason why they're doing that is to recreate the islands in the metaverse where you can go and experience Tuvalu the way it was. So that's alive for generations to come, the remaining generations who still live on the island, and know what the island was like, where their ancestors were from. It's quite sad, actually.
It is, but it's not going to make anyone feel better. So two things I know about Tuvalu is like they made most of their money in the .com boom, because their dot, we've got .co.za or .za or whatever. They've got .tv, and a whole lot of media companies were buying up .tv addresses that were selling for a fortune. So that's where Tuvalu made a lot of money.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. But I mean, this is not going to help people. So you recreate the island in the metaverse, but like I said earlier, you can't go to sleep in your bed in the metaverse. You can't go to your fridge in the metaverse and eat. These poor people, now they've lost their island, or their island is slowly being covered in water. And then they're going to have to put on a pair of 3D virtual reality goggles so that they can...
Yeah, you're physically homeless, but virtually covered.
Yeah, please.
It's just for it's just for an experience, so that you can revisit an island, even if it's in your eyes and head, that doesn't exist anymore.
But I'm paying
it's
rent.
not going to help anybody. Yeah, you don't. I don't see how this is going to... Property in the metaverse, okay, great. If you've got like money to burn, it's like, as Tumi said, NFTs. You want to go and spend some money on that stuff, you go for it. But for those of us who are like worried about the paycheck at the end of the month and the rest of it, there's no metaverse calculation in that. I'm terribly sorry.
I feel like only that today, Gareth. Sorry, yes, continue.
Certainly a playground for the richer and more daring. People with a little bit of money to burn, All
right, so Leigh-Ann, I've got a bit of a fact check for you here. I'm sorry to do this in real time, but apparently there's a peer-reviewed study which used satellite imagery to measure Tuvalu's changing land area over 4 decades. So here we go. University of Auckland has published this research. It says between 1971 and 2014, it showed the country grew by more than 73 hectares, or 2.9%. Each period of the study experienced net increases in land area, including the most recent decade. Of their individual islands, 73 had increased in land, while only 28 had decreased. Just one had eroded entirely.
Yeah, so it was one question that I had when reading the story. I looked at a few articles as well. And they say, although the islands have actually increased in size, the sea levels have been rising at approximately twice the global average. So, yeah, that's where the disparity comes in.
This is why people go, climate change, blah, 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 and they get into arguments. It's exactly this kind of stuff. Like one report says this, the other report says the other. I mean, I haven't heard of that many people who are look, I'm not really like subscribed to Tuvalu news sites, so I can't say I've really spent a lot of time thinking about this. But if people are actually drowning and the islands are going underwater, it sounds like a bit of alarmism to me.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, even when the foreign minister delivered the speech, he was filmed. It was a little bit gimmicky. He was filmed with his feet in the water as he stood at a podium with the flags behind him. So yes, absolutely, it could be alarmist. Let's see. We'll probably see in our lifetimes how it develops and how it changes. Because if they say it's as soon as 50 years that it'll be completely under, who knows?
Well, I mean, Al Gore told us, 20 years ago when his stupid movie came out, he was like, all the polar bears are going to be dead. And there's going to be, and Venice will be completely submerged underwater. And most of the eastern coast of the United States will also be underwater. But I'm still going to buy some beach property. Al Gore. Al Gore. So Asha says, who's going to explain the metaverse to those people who actually live on the island? Oh, my God.
Yeah, no, I've thought about that too. It's pretty crazy,
So,
but it's for tourists and historians and things like that.
Yeah. What did you do this weekend, Leigh-Ann? We only just saw you now. So what's been going on? What did you get up to? Have you started your December properly?
I had a very admin-y weekend. As you know, I'm still in the process of selling my home. So I had a lot of paper signing and, some papers still have to be signed in person, hey?
Have you got your room? Is your room at the old age home already? They've got it for you.
Yes. No, it's all ready to go.
Okay, good. The frail care's right next door, right?
As I put in a bun on top of my head.
Yes, go.
So yes, no, they've just got to move the cats over, which is quite a mission. It'll take a few trips.
Okay, all right, very good. So depressing. Oh,
no,
by the way,
not there yet.
I was meant while we're talking about this this whole Tuvalu thing. This is what the world looks like to fish if they were the ones mapping the world. This is what the world would look like to them. Because remember, for them the sea is the land, so they're only interested in where like they can't go, which is like this.
The land.
So
yes.
So if you look at the map of the world and you look at it from the point of view of a fish, then Africa is this big-ass island, Australia is this big-ass island, Antarctica and Greenland are big-ass islands, and everything else is like this big outside area. It's like a big...
insignificant border.
Yeah, it's the edges of the container. And so I think this is kind of mind-bending because you imagine the first fish to like cross through the Panama Canal and they're like, my God, guys, you'll never believe. I went all the way around. There's a passage through. I mean, isn't that wild? I think that's quite cool.
Crazy.
But that also shows you how, because it was a bit of a mind bend for us as well in being in South Africa or in Africa, we always have Africa Central on the map. So to imagine Tuvalu between Australia and Hawaii was a bit like,
Yeah, exactly.
Because our maps centered differently.
Right.
But I like that sort of insignificant border of the US and Europe, and we're like front and center.
Yeah, we're in the middle of it. I like that too. And the fish will think Africa's important because they can go almost all the way around us, but not so for the other people. So to fish, we're still the center of the universe. I just want to point that out.
When you first showed me that, I thought it was because, a fish's eyes are on either side of its body. So it was seeing like one photograph and then splicing the rest of it together.
Yeah. They've started an argument now about climate change in the comments. I'm not even going to go there. I did not intend for that to happen. The reason I brought it up is because we were talking about these sinking islands, which turns out are not sinking. So let's just, everybody calm down, all right? We don't need to get into it.
But it is real.
Yeah. Tracy says flat earthers must be losing their shit. Oh my God. Have you ever met like a flat earther? Someone who honestly, genuinely believes that that's how it all works? I haven't.
Yeah.
So
are they real?
There can't be a lot of them. I don't know, but wherever they are, I haven't encountered them. So I'm obviously, maybe I'm just not cool enough for them to even talk to.
No, man. With some of these things, I feel like there are people who have a perspective just because they know it's going to make them stand out and it's going to force conversation with people.
Yeah.
And I go, you don't really believe this, do you? You're actually doing this so that, for attention.
You're trolling.
Yeah. And I don't get into trouble for saying that because I want to be like, yeah. But I mean, there are those people. Absolutely,
there are. All right, so Christmas decorations. You will have seen. I've got like the little Christmas tree in the background here, and I put that up specially because I like things to be festive for all of us as we head into the festive season, and I like the idea. And we're going to play some Christmas music some of the time, and all the rest of it too. This is what I like to do. When do you officially start with your stuff, Tumi and Leigh-Ann?
We start at the beginning of December. And I must say, I'm enjoying the bottles more than the tree, Gareth. I noticed.
Oh, you like that, huh? noticed
green
that.
bottles there. That is
Mm.
imperative. It's a key part, in fact, of Christmas. And it's funny because I've become the minister of the tree. Like, honestly, my husband knows better than to put up the tree. He's like, we'll wait for mom. Even if the kids are like, yeah, so like now I'm in South Africa, they're in the US, we have the tree, we've got the start of decorations. And unfortunately, this time we didn't get to finish putting it up because I had to leave, but
Yeah.
no one's going to finish it until I'm there. It like if you do that, then you're ruining Christmas.
So are you back there on the what,
I'm a
15th,
Christmas
16th?
queen. Yes, I have to be there on time. Listen, because it's my birthday on the 22nd, and then it's Christmas
Uh-huh.
on the 25th. So I have to be home in time for both. Otherwise, my kids will probably like sell me.
Well, I mean, listen, you work hard, and this just shows you, like, here you are working, you're slogging away in South Africa while all of them are waiting for you to come and put up the Christmas tree and slog some more over on that side. But do you feel hard done by that your birthday is on the 22nd of December? Because it means you only get one present.
Yeah, but I didn't grow up getting Christmas presents. So, like, it's not a thing. The Christmas presents became a thing after I met this dude who lives a very, I don't know, a very, okay, I always say he looks like a white person. His family, I call them white. They are white, okay? They are white. They've been exchanging gifts since time immemorial, and they're very Catholic, so Christmas is a thing. So I got
Okay.
introduced to Christmas gifts when I started dating him. So growing up, it's never been part of my reality. So no, I was just excited that on top of Christmas clothes, I'm getting a present because we all get Christmas clothes at Christmas, and then so for me it was like I get something extra.
That's
Yeah.
nice. Well, yeah, I feel sorry for people whose birthdays are around Christmas, because I always think they get caught up in the whole Christmas thing, and nobody really makes a fuss of them for their birthdays.
No,
My dad is
most
on
birthdays are
Christmas
the
Day.
best.
Oof.
Oh my gosh!
Oh, that's
Yeah,
hard.
my
So
dad's
Jesus
my
is
dad's
birthday
on
on
Christmas Day.
shining him.
No, but the thing is, when I say my dad, I don't mean Jesus. I mean the other dad. But no, he enjoys the day. He thinks that it's all about him, really. I think he has the most fabulous birthday ever because it's always a day off. There's always a lot of food, a lot of family, everyone doing everything else for him. He just kind of stands around and pokes the turkey or the gammon. Yeah, he loves it. And we always make sure we give him 2 presents, and we do wrap the birthday one in birthday paper. We found that
Okay.
that's quite important.
Yeah, it's got a little
That's
bit more
cool.
trouble. That's nice. All right, so here's Sivan, who says, GC, you actually had a flat earther on the show. I'd forgotten about that. It was probably about 2, maybe 3 years ago. And this guy actually challenged anyone in the audience. He said you could have a Bitcoin if you could prove the earth wasn't flat. And I mean, we've got proof. Like, how about every satellite that is busy orbiting the earth? How about every picture? How about every picture of the earth from space? How about gravity for a start, and the spin of the earth, and how come the sun comes up and goes down east to west? It's just, there's so many.
Yeah.
He's like, this guy was no. That's
How come
bullshit.
everything in space is spherical? The moon, the sun, the other planets.
No, he
It's
said
gonna save energy.
we live on a disk. And you talk about that fish map that we showed earlier, where you would see the world like a fish would see it, with the ocean being the major part of it, and the land on the outside just being the borders. So this guy sees the earth, this flat earther, and I'm trying to remember now because it was a long time ago, but he sees it all as a disk, and Antarctica is around the outside, and beyond
instead
that,
of
he doesn't know. I mean, it's crazy. And this stuff actually hurts my brain first thing on a Monday. But if you want to listen to that interview, it's still up on cliffcentral.com. And I'm glad Sivan just reminded us about it. So thanks, dude. Unbelievable. All right. Well, there's some people here talking about I need Christmas clothes. So someone came up with this idea. And I think it comes from American movies. And maybe, Tumi, you're going to go back and have to deal with this. But you know those Christmas sweaters, those like big, loud, Merry Christmas, with reindeer and Christmas balls and all of that stuff on the front. Those things are actually very cool, but they're completely impractical in South Africa. You could never wear any of those here. It's much too hot. You'd be sweating, be very uncomfortable,
Oh,
be dreadful.
imagine that around the braai. Oh.
Mm.
But you guys understand the concept of Christmas clothes, though.
Oh yeah.
Tell me what we mean here, because maybe that's not. I was just immediately thinking of those Christmas sweaters.
No, because growing up as kids, we'd get clothes that you wear over Christmas. But for a lot of, but for historically, especially for people of color, the history of Christmas clothes is that migrant workers would only be able to come home over Christmas for that break. So you would get that's when they bring their kids' uniform, kids' clothing, supplies for the home, and all of that. So you would get your clothes for the year that's coming. But the first time you wear those clothes would be over Christmas. So they were your Christmas clothes, you know? And then, of course, as the migration lessened, you got special clothes over Christmas that you only wear at Christmas, like, you know, and it's painful for us as a kid because, you know, your mother fits you these clothes in like November, October, during some sale. And then you visit the wardrobe and talk to this dress every day until Christmas comes. I'm going to love you so much. I'm going to love wearing you because you can't touch it. Or, you know, or they've been buying it for 6 months and you're only getting to wear it over Christmas. But yeah, the origins is, you know, migrant workers who could only buy their kids' clothing at the end of the year. And that's when their kids would go get those clothes. And it's like, it's your Christmas clothes, you know.
Well, Joking Atheist says, because it's so hot here, we need Christmas Speedos.
Yes, I'm here for all of it. Yes.
You like that, huh?
All of the men in Christmas Speedos, I beg.
Yeah.
Put the one horn in the front and the other in the back.
Ooh, okay. So you're like that. Okay.
Steph says the other day I heard my first "All I Want for Christmas Is You." Oh, there comes Mariah.
How have you survived this long? Oh, I thought you meant like ever.
No, she's coming. All right, everybody. Well, I'm afraid that's all we got time for today. Listen, Tumi, it's so good to see you, and we'll catch up with you again soon. Love to your family when you get to go back, and don't work too hard while you're here. And As we will see you on Monday next week, right?
See you then.
All right, beautiful. Everybody, have a lovely day, and we will catch up with you on the morrow, 6 o'clock, bright and early. Be good. Cheers, everybody. Bye-bye.